Rome, the capital of power, the cradle of betrayal, the filthy breath of an empire written in blood. And today, that breath slips through the gates of the arena. There is no mercy here. There is no honor here. There is only survival. Bodies bruised and battered, backs carved by the whip, and behind dead, hollow eyes. Hearts still beating like cornered beasts. All of them move with one command: survive or rot on the ground. Underneath the Colosseum, the gladiators wait, breathing like wild predators ready to pounce. Because the arena is not a battleground. It is a monster that gives birth to death. And today, that monster is hungry. The gates tremble, the locks snap, and from outside, a rumble rises. 50,000 voices screaming, "We want blood!" This scream is an order. This order is a death sentence. And every gladiator standing in the center of that arena knows, if you don't kill, you become the corpse. Sand explodes upward, shields clash, blades scream, and humanity transforms into its most feral form. This is not a show. This is not a game. This is Rome's darkest instinct ripped wide open. And the moment a gladiator steps onto the sand, only one question remains. Are you ready to kill? Because in this place, there is only one rule. Death comes to your enemy or to you. And today, one final breath will fall onto the sand. Rome's idea of entertainment was not meant for the weak-hearted. The mightiest empire the world had ever seen proved its power not only on the battlefield, but on the sand of the arena. For Rome, gladiatorial combat was never just a show. These fights were a channel for the fury of the masses, a tool for politicians to manipulate crowds, a demonstration of strength for generals, a symbol of status for the wealthy, and a test of loyalty for emperors. Every scream that rose beneath the shadow of the Colosseum was the echo of Rome's inner brutality breaking free. But where did gladiators truly come from? Their origins stretch far deeper into the past. The Etruscans once held ritual combats during funerals to honor the spirits of the dead. Over time, Rome embraced this ritual and transformed it into something far more monstrous. What began as a ceremony became a business, a spectacle, a frenzy. Gladiatorial combat was no longer a belief. It became Rome's greatest industry, its grandest entertainment, its most dangerous addiction. Who became a gladiator? The question is simple. The answer is dark. 1. Prisoners of war, the empire's massive claw. As Rome expanded, so did the number of its captives. Gaul, Germania, Britannia, Greece, Carthage. Millions were chained and forced into slavery. Some became household servants, some labored in mines. But the strongest, the fiercest, the most defiant were thrown into the arena. For prisoners of war, the arena was not fate, it was a sentence. 2. Criminals, a slower, crueler death than execution. In Rome, those condemned for serious crimes were given two choices: crucifixion or death in the arena. Most criminals sent to fight were political prisoners, deserters, thieves, murderers, rebels against the state. Becoming a gladiator was never a second chance. It was simply a slower death. 3. Volunteers, lost souls, suffocating in poverty. Hard to imagine, but some men chose the arena willingly. Why? To avoid starving in Rome's brutal poverty, to win wealth, to pay their debts, to support their families, to chase glory, and sometimes simply because they craved the fight. Shockingly, even free Roman citizens signed contracts to become gladiators. It was considered a deep disgrace, but for them, honor sometimes meant more than life itself. Gladiator schools were not ordinary places. They were forges of brutality. where a human being was slowly stripped of his past, broken apart, and reforged into a weapon. The most infamous of them all, Ludus Magnus, standing in the looming shadow of the Colosseum itself. High wall, iron-locked gates, isolated courtyards, and the constant roar of drills and shouts. Every dawn carried the same terrifying echo, the footsteps of death beginning a new day. Greed the Lanista, the master who breathed death. The Lanista was everything to a gladiator. Trainer, master, doctor, psychologist, judge, and executioner. He shaped men as a sculptor shapes stone, except his craft was far darker. He didn't teach them how to fight. He taught them how to kill and how to die. To the Lanista, death was an art form, and the gladiator was the brush. Training, pain as a way of life. Gladiator training was beyond what any ordinary person could endure. Hours of combat with wooden swords heavier than real steel, carrying massive weights under the sun, shield-pushing drills until arms trembled, endless reflex tests, running in suffocating armor, whip punishments for hesitation, hunger, exhaustion, mental pressure. Every lesson delivered the same truth. The purpose wasn't to teach combat. The purpose was to teach acceptance of death. A gladiator wasn't trained for victory. He was trained for inevitability. Roman gladiators were far more than fighters. They were characters, symbols, living myths shaped for the crowd's hunger. Each type carried its own story, its own role, its own destiny in the arena. Murmillo, the noble warrior of Rome. Heavy shield, short gladius, towering helmet, a wall of iron and muscle. The true embodiment of Roman strength and endurance. Thrax, the blade of speed and cunning, curved sword, small angled shield, lightning-fast footwork. A duel with a Thrax was not a contest of strength, but of wit, agility, and razor-sharp timing. Retiarius, the hunter of freedom. No armor, just a net, a trident, and a dagger. He fought like a fisherman hunting a beast, darting, weaving, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. His fight was a test of patience and precision. Secutor, the silent pursuer built specifically to counter the Retiarius. His helmet allowed almost no air, yet he advanced without stopping, step by step, breath by tortured breath, an unstoppable predator designed to corner his prey. Demacharis, master of twin blades, 2 swords, 2 styles, 2 opportunities to kill. He danced through the sand with lethal grace, a psychological nightmare for his opponent. Bestiari, the ones fed to the beasts, not warriors. Victims. They were forced to fight lions, tigers, bears, creatures whose roars shook the arena walls. Most never stood a chance. Their battles were not contests. They were sacrifices. Bestiari represented the darkest shadow of the arena, where death was guaranteed and courage meant nothing. The greatest amphitheater in human history, the Colosseum, the Temple of Death. 50,000 people roared in unison, "Ludi, Ludi, let the games begin." This single wave of sound could decide the fate of a man standing on the sand. A gladiator could become a legend in one heartbeat and be erased from history in the next. Some battles lasted 20 minutes, some dragged on for an hour, and some ended in just 10 seconds. But every one of them made the heart of Rome beat faster. Every gladiator who stepped into the arena walked in knowing death was waiting. To say they felt no fear would be a lie. The fear was real, but for them, fear was fuel. Each gladiator carried one question in his mind. Will this fight lead me to freedom or to death? Their ultimate dream was the rudis, a simple wooden sword, yet the most powerful symbol in the empire. The rudis meant freedom. It meant life returned. A gladiator who received it was released from the chains of the arena forever. But until that moment came, every second in the arena felt like an entire lifetime. The greatest gladiator history has ever known. He was not born a slave. He was shaped as a warrior and died as a legend. Spartacus. He was more than a weapon forged in the arena. He was the storm that would one day shake the foundations of Rome itself. A single spark ignited in the dark halls of the Ludus, and within weeks it became the largest fire the empire had ever seen. 70 gladiators escaped from the school in Capua, armed with nothing but kitchen knives and wooden stakes. Yet they challenged the might of Rome. Spartacus was not merely a leader, he was a blaze. His flame spread quickly, giving hope to thousands of slaves, farm workers, household servants, war prisoners. All of them broke their chains and followed Spartacus into the storm. And suddenly Rome realized that what it thought was a minor problem, a handful of runaway slaves, had become a catastrophe. Spartacus's forces grew and grew and grew. The slave army surpassed 70,000. They began defeating Roman legions, seasoned soldiers who had survived decades of war. They humiliated Rome's generals. They shattered the empire's pride. Spartacus was no longer a gladiator. He had become a mountain of freedom towering over Rome. But his greatest battle was not against Rome. It was against his own men, against his own destiny, against the storm raging inside his soul. He did not seek mere escape. He did not seek revenge. He sought freedom. And freedom was Rome's greatest fear. In the end, Spartacus disappeared into the chaos of battle. His body was never found, because a man's body may vanish, but his name does not. The name Spartacus became a shadow that even Rome's brightest marble could not erase. Some slaves, history whispered, are freer than emperors. As Rome expanded, the gladiatorial games grew bloodier, grander, and more extravagant. But the fall of every empire begins from within, with cracks in its own soul. Rome was no exception. The people who once roared for blood now whispered about mercy. Every gladiator's death exposed a darker fragment of humanity. Christianity began to rise, carrying new ideas: the sacredness of life, compassion over cruelty. Priests condemned the games as demonic. Some emperors defended them, some sought to end them, and Rome's spirit began to fracture. Then came the breaking point. The year 404 AD. A monk leapt into the arena to stop the final blow aimed at a dying gladiator. The crowd, in a frenzy, stoned him to death. But on that day, for the first time, Rome looked into a mirror and saw its own brutality. Emperor Honorius declared, "This barbarity ends now." And with those words, the darkest entertainment in human history was outlawed. The gates of the arena closed. The sands of the Colosseum darkened. The screams of steel faded into silence. But that silence was more terrifying than death itself. Rome was entering a new age. The voices of the gladiators were swallowed by the halls of history, yet they never truly disappeared. Gladiators were dragged into the sand in chains, yet they shattered those chains and rose as legends. To them, life was not breath. Life was battle. Life was honor. Life was defying death with every step. And in the end, they understood a truth deeper than Rome itself. Immortality is not given to those who live long, but to those who die unforgettable. Today, the arenas are gone. The Colosseum stands silent. There is no blood on the sand, only the footsteps of wandering tourists. But at night, when the wind slips through those ancient stones, a careful ear can still hear the ring of a shield, the crash of a fallen body, the gasp of a final breath, the distant murmur of a crowd, and from far, far away, a whisper carried through time. We are gladiators, and we never died.